Good afternoon, everyone. How I wish I could just stand here and ad-lib and ramble on, because there are so many things that I can say, I'd like to say, that is not written on the 2 pages that I have to read to you this afternoon. But this is a formal occasion, and I would stick to what is required of me. At this point, therefore, I would like to adopt the protocol that has been established, and I would also like to recognize among us the presence of Professor Velman Newton, who is sitting among the chiefs in the front. Professor Newton is the director of a UWI project called Impact Justice. And the other meeting that is happening simultaneously with this conference, that's why all the chiefs and other persons who are up here, they're here for that meeting. And through the Impact Justice project, headed by Professor Newton, all these people are in St. Vincent to partner with us on one hand and to help to move the process forward in terms of what happens with indigenous people across particularly the CARICOM region. So brothers and sisters, Professor Newton, once more, thank you very much, and we hope other partnerships will develop sometime in the future. At this point, let me extend a special welcome to every one of you sitting in this hall this afternoon. The Garifuna once dominated the island of St. Vincent in this part of the Caribbean, which we call the Eastern Caribbean. But today, Garifuna people now live displaced in many countries, particularly in Central America. They are there as a consequence of the 1797 forced removal from St. Vincent and the Grenadines by the British colonialists. The island of St. Vincent, known by the Garifuna as Yurume, is part of a wider Caribbean living legacy of indigenous peoples' presence. The presence, existence, and resistance to colonial imperatives within the Americas. It is on this island, now part of the multi-island state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that the Garifuna nation, a nation of hybrid indigenous people created from the intermarriage between African and Kalinago people, was born. Right here on this small island. As the conflict between the British colonial powers and the indigenous Kalinago and Garifuna intensified over control of the lands in Yurume, the Kalinago and Garifuna people resisted through fierce guerrilla warfare. They resisted the might of the British military machinery for over a century. Nonetheless, in 1795, the Garifuna surrendered, and in 1797 were expelled by force. First to the island of Baliso, which is now part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and subsequently to the remote island of Roatan off the coast of Honduras in Central America. The descendants of those 2,248 Garifuna persons who were expelled from Baliso to Central America, those descendants now number over 300,000, and they have never forgotten the brutal impact of that expulsion. The memory of the loss of their homeland still remains vivid and painful after more than 200 years. Those Garifuna descendants who mainly reside in Honduras and Belize and Guatemala and Nicaragua and the United States still consider Yurume their spiritual homeland, a place to which a pilgrimage must be made at any available opportunity. Yurume still resonates in songs and mournful laments in ceremonies practiced within the Garifuna culture, especially in relation to the celebrations honoring the ancestors. The central focus of this pain is the island of Baliso. Baliso is specially revered as a sacred place, as it was here that approximately 2,500 persons, 2,500 Garifuna people who were held in captivity died within a period of 6 months subsequent to their surrender to the British in 1795. In each of the countries where the Garifuna people reside, the challenge and the opportunities are great, and they differ from country to country. Nonetheless, the memory of the homeland, the Yurume, is revered and still evokes very painful responses. This memory and the journey it symbolizes from the homeland to the diaspora is one that has not so sufficiently confronted. It has not been analyzed and brought closure collectively. In 2002, the United Nations, through its arm UNESCO, proclaimed the Garifuna heritage and culture as one of the intangible masterpieces of the heritage of mankind. In 2007, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, commonly known as UNDRIP. That declaration was ratified by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And in 2016, the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People was concluded by the Organization of American States. These documents seek to promote the rights of the indigenous people to all aspects of their heritage and culture, including protection of sacred sites, and may provide some new international impetus for implementing and designing cultural preservation programs. However, the national development priorities of governments or the domestic legal context and the legal rights of private citizens may impact the exercise of the rights granted under these international conventions. In addition, there needs to be properly documented information on the history, the archaeological research, and other baseline information required to ground a substantial project for cultural preservation of the island of Baliso. In this context, with that kind of background that I just outlined, the Garifuna Heritage Foundation is proud to host our 5th International Garifuna Conference. In 2012, we convened our first international conference. And that conference resulted in something which we call the Euromay Declaration, which specifically made a call for reparations for the Garifuna people. That's back in 2012. Since then, CARICOM has established a commission to secure reparations for native genocide and slavery. We have with us for this conference a collection of scholars and practitioners and cultural activists who have come to present on the following theme, which is the theme for this 5th International Garifuna Conference. And that theme is the island of Baliso, sacred lands or economic opportunity. It is our hope that these presentations and discussions and hopefully some declaration will provide a platform for action to be formulated. To our overseas guests, your participation in this conference is very important, so I would like to thank you once again for being here. And to all Vincentians, we hope that you will find the time to also participate in this conference, even if it's just for a very short time, and to participate in all the other events taking place around St. Vincent at this time. I would like to thank you for being here this afternoon and hope that you would enjoy the rest of the afternoon and be informed. Thank you.